Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of The Death of the Dark Crusade, Season 2. On this beautiful evening, we set the scene at the Prince's domain of the Palace of Edessa, now fully repaired without a single blemish to stain its figure. Menmon, a respectable, if low-ranking neonate of Clan La Sombra has arrived to pay the prince a visit regarding matters of domain and domains that have been breached. As Menmon approaches the palace, there is a bunch of guards everywhere, but one of them approaches you, who appears to be the sort of captain of the guard for the palace. He introduces himself to you. He is the prince's ghoul, and he offers to guide you to her at your leisure. Although preferably sooner rather than later, as someone without noble influence or a great deal of money, you do stick out like a sore thumb here.
Right.
As this is a palace, it's basically the nobles of nobles come here and royalty. So whenever someone doesn't look like they're insanely rich or doesn't look like they belong, they do tend to earn some degree of suspicion from local security forces.
Right. Yeah, Memnon would say, after the introduction, I'm here to speak to your board, if I may. Getting straight to the point.
Of course. He'll say, "Of course, sir," and he will guide you down the hallways of the palace. You at some point pass through a very large kind of central hall, very big. It's like one giant kind of circular area, and it's got these gilded pillars and beautiful walls. But you don't really spend too much time in there. You just kind of walk through. To head down kind of a more narrow set of corridors that lead down to what would appear to be the equivalent of a Privy Council's office, or set of offices for the administrators of the city, the pencil pushers. And right down this kind of, how to describe it? It's fairly formal looking. As you kind of enter, there's kind of it's a mid-sized room with a small arch that leads into another mid-sized room where there are more desks. Everything is absolutely, it's incredibly formulaic. Everything is where it needs to be. Everything is neat and tidy. The shelves are filled with parchment and books, signed papers, documents. But down the main room that you're in, there is what appears to be sort of the area of what would be the equivalent of a Lord Chancellor. Not this city doesn't have one because it's a very Western concept, but an advisor to the regent or some other figure. Very high ranking within the sort of the royal hierarchy. Not necessarily a relative, but a close advisor or confidant. And on that desk, which is kind of off by itself at the end of the end of the room, kind of signifying that it's that much more important. Videss being a little bit more ornate, but not grand, not that much more so. It's not like the rest of this palace. It's not extravagant. And sitting behind this desk, kind of the chair actually leaning back ever so slightly. Is the prince, and she kind of has her foot up against the side of the desk, or up against the desk, because she's kind of leaning back. She's using it to balance herself. She's just doing it in fairly practical attire, looking with kind of again barefooted.
So is she more dressed like Memnon would be, or
Kind of,
is her
yeah.
clothes just like? Oh, okay. That's interesting. Okay. And did you say, is she alone in the room, or does Memnon see anyone else in there with her?
And it's just you, her, and her ghoul. The ghoul introduces you. He walks up first. In which case, she seems to show him a fair degree of respect.
The ghoul.
Yeah, before sending him away and kind of making a fairly casual gesture to you.
What's the gesture, like acknowledgement, or to like come over to her?
A gesture of her hand to kind of beckon you over.
Okay.
She actually stops leaning on her chair, and then just kind of the chair in front of the desk, she just kind of casually pushes back for you. From the front of the desk. And then just sits back down and just leans back into the chair.
Memnon will kind of stand there, rigid, a little stoic, hands behind his back, and he'll say, "Your Grace," acknowledging her as Prince, though she might detect that he's not certain if that's an appropriate pleasantry title.
Good evening, Memnon. Take a seat.
He'll
Just
he'll look at a seat and take one, but still a little bit rigid.
I heard about you from the Seneschal. Caught some roaming gangrel.
Did not know that our exploits had spread that far. I hope that is your liking, our actions.
I'd be highly concerned if a prince was not happy that those who were breaching the domain were unhappy to see them captured.
Well, then what they say is true. I was involved.
Yes, you and Irene. The neonates of La Sombra doing good work. She says that almost as if it's a backhanded compliment in a way. Uh, like there's the implication that the neonates are picking up the slack of those older than themselves.
Okay.
What can I do for you?
Memnon will he'll kind of make it obvious that he's looking for something about her desk, but he'll say, "I've come to discuss the issue of domain in my own regard."
I thought we'd already settled that. She takes out the map and obviously points to the one Menmon square.
Yes, but that was a start. I have plans that will benefit not just myself, which are obvious, but the city as a whole.
What plans might these be, Menmon?
I've learned from the men themselves who work in the guild halls that many of their numbers have suffered after the plague that ravaged the city. Many of them are far flung, living in different parts, coming under, well, whatever stresses their respective neighborhoods bring. In such a state, the industry of the city could be compromised. It is why I personally made it my mission to deal with Nadim, as he could have unbalanced and affected the industry by robbing such a lucrative merchant of his riches. If there are no nobles to pay for our wares, well, we'd be put out of business. And then you would have more starving folks in the streets, which I'm sure you can see where that will lead. So,
You don't need to justify your decision to me. They were breaching my domain. As such, it needed to be dealt with. I'm glad that you did not destroy them, however.
well, I will
Some
be
of the
honest.
more over ego would have been keen to, no doubt.
Be honest, I thought it would be wise. However, hearing that you wanted them personally brought to you, then justice was in your hands.
More or less, the simple truth is only the prince can guarantee the right of destruction. If it is not given or not granted to another, then they cannot commit to it. And I had not given it. In essence, if we are to do things, we are to do them correctly or not at all. So I'm glad to see that you did so. So I'm assuming you wish to expand upon your domain, as I
Yes.
highly doubt you would be here if you did not do so and had not done me a favor beforehand. She smirks.
What I did with Nadim, you do not need to count as a favor, though I hope it would assure you that I'm a man capable of getting things done. And now that you do know my reasons, you can know my intentions. The people of the guild, the tradesmen, I want to see them become lucrative, to better this city, and not just exploit them, because I work amongst them. And they are a valuable resource that needs protection.
You speak with confidence. Fortunate then that it's me as the prince and not the prior one.
Well,
But I would count your service to domain as a point in your favor. I only hope that you can hold the area. To my knowledge, you took such a small area initially because you did not wish to stretch further than you could reach, being a recent addition to the city's populace.
it was a prudent choice. However, I've made some inroads and gains in these recent nights that I believe I can confidently protect those whom I seek to protect. I've endeavored to broker a deal between the Masons and the Smiths, a way to bring some of those far flung tradesmen a little closer to the center of business, giving them a roof over their head until they can establish themselves, be back on their feet. The merchant whose fortune I helped save, oh, I'm sure he'll be indebted to me, and I will turn those resources towards further helping the guild. It comes from my own physical prowess. Yes, there are things I still need to learn, but I do not lack for initiative or thirst to learn.
Clearly, what you do with the guild is of little concern to myself. If it benefits the city, all the better. And as one who has been, to my knowledge, integral to this particular offensive against these would-be breaches, I'd have no problem giving you or granting you an extension to your initial claim to domain. And you would be one of the first to secure it. What you see on this map are merely claims. They can be denied. Your services, however, warrant something a little more concrete. However, this depends on how far you would wish to extend. At which point I'm just going to switch to the map and make this much easier for myself. So how far do you want to extend here?
Memnon is going to rationalize with her that where his haven proper is in the merchant's quarter, like a little bit more room so that he may feed, as he would like to try to avoid feeding on the tradesmen of the guild.
Mm.
And as for his propriety and business in the guild, again, don't know exactly where all the places are, but he would reiterate that he's brokering a deal with the Masons, highlighting that aside from the Smiths, he does aim to bring the Masons Guild under his wing. Yeah, somewhere a little. I would say, if you'll allow it, as far south as Omar's go, or something above that. That's too much.
Yeah, we probably wouldn't go as far. What I was going to suggest was you go about, you could probably go this far for now. A fairly large size 2 domain.
Sounds good.
Is that good? Is that okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Well, I can't hear, dude.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, I will alter this. I will select this square and get rid of it. Actually, I have a better idea. I will simply draw over it and then get rid of it. That's a bit far. I wanted it to go about halfway down. But no, no, not the whole thing.
Yeah, don't put me on the blue. I don't need the venture getting on my ass.
Comedy time with your friendly neighborhood ST. I think I just need to delete this. And it's going to be a pain in the ass later. Working with much larger domains than this is going to get annoying. It was like, so, yeah, makes sense. Yeah. So you kind of break a little bit into the guild halls, effectively securing the border for La Sombra.
Yeah, Memnon would look at the map and he'd look pleased with a nod. Thank you, Your Grace. I am honored by your decision.
Those who serve the domain and serve it well should be rewarded.
To further serve this domain well and to keep it protected, there are, as I've said, more that I do need to learn. Can I get, is there a way I could like read the prints to kind of get an idea of her nature?
Maybe perception, empathy. You won't be able to figure out her nature now, but you can get hints as to how she acts. And she seems fairly blasé to you. She's very not venture-y. Like, she's certainly not a typical venture. She's very, she's almost casual in how she talks to you. And like Menmon is fairly to the point. She's not unpleasant though. She's not rude.
The difficulty was 6. I got 2 success.
Yeah, you get all the information I just defined, and she doesn't seem to. She doesn't seem to be an individual that demands respect. She's not necessarily honest, but she seems fairly down to earth with you.
That's good. That's good. Okay.
How she carries herself obviously isn't like a normal venture. But you're not sure how her bearing necessarily relates to her clan in a more nuanced context. You're not well versed on how the venture would view this.
Okay. So yeah, Memnon will proceed to say, after giving her a little bit of an eye up and down, a little study. Grace, let me craft a gift for you. If, in turn, you would teach me a gift so that I may better hold the domain that you've just granted me.
That depends very much on what you're able to design for me.
What is the Grace's interest?
She considers this. Well, I wouldn't say she considers this. She just She just considers it. She literally just leans back her head and considers it very casually. To be frank, I largely have all that I need. Materially, there is not much more I could ask for. The sort of thing that interests me is knowledge, information.
Yes, knowledge is a true gift and power.
Of all sorts, even that which may seem trivial is of value to me. So I suppose what you may get in return will be very much dependent upon the information you are able to gather on my behalf.
And what is the information you would desire to have?
Uh, well, that is the problem, isn't it? There is such an enormous selection. And what's the choice, almost? It could range anything from deep occult secrets to the ongoing politics of the respective clans of the city, to the comings and goings of local guild journeymen. Or whereabouts of a particularly infamous pickpocket. It could be anything, really. Anything of value. Information that can be applied, can be wielded with force, or that can lead to something far greater than its initial value. Of course, for that second example, I would need information that such a thing would lead to greater troves of information, but I'm sure you would not offer me such a thing if you did not already know that.
Well, I wouldn't offer you information that I couldn't verify myself. At least, if I came with you rumors, at best I'd be giving you a heads up. And if you did decide that it was worth finding out a little bit more, I could endeavor to discover more of it. There is something that, actually, I think as Prince you might want to be aware of. There was a men that came to my forge. They requested and paid a very good sum of gold for some weapons and armor. But many other numbers were lost when they attacked this creature on the roads on the outskirts of the city. I was dismayed as they believed that my armor and my blades were efficient. What beast could do that to a group of out of character. I forgot the number of men, but it was a really sizable group of people. Um,
You're fading in and out again, so it's a little bit difficult to hear you.
oh, I'm sorry.
Um,
Yeah, which part did you lose me at?
it's just what was it that was tearing apart the groups of people?
Um, yeah, he Memnon says that it was described as a beast. He hasn't seen it for himself, but the men who faced it were terrified, and they claimed that their blades were ineffective against it. Just glanced off of it.
Oh, absolutely fantastic. Who were these men? We all need to erase their memories of that particular incident.
I
Whatever
can find
jesters
it.
go around putting up silence breaching posters, if they're one of us, they'll be brought to justice most swiftly and harshly.
Very well. I do not have that gift to erase their memory, but making them never speak again, that is not too hard.
This city already has a witch hunter problem. We'll need to erase their memories permanently. If you can acquire me their names, I'd appreciate it greatly.
Oh, very well. That I can do.
Excellent. Well then, that's a good start for you. But my
No,
skills don't come quite as cheaply as that.
of course. Out of character, I'm saying, of course.
She just smiles at you as if, yeah, that was cute.
Memnon will give a terse smile back and nod. Agreement. Well, then, he'll stand up and say, if there is anything else you would require of me, I will begin this endeavor. I'll seek out their names. And, given time, shortly, I hope, you will have them.
Thank you. Deep Menmon, you'll need to do so if you wish to find any information I don't already know.
Yes, digging. I'm good with the shovel.
She muses on this for a moment. Do ensure it's not your own grave.
Well, I always did imagine to be buried at sea.
That is far simpler for us.
And I guess Memnon will give her kind of like a slight bow. He's not really sure how.
She seems somewhat amused at how you try to compose yourself before her. It's like she's watching some sort of entertaining theatrics.
The mime that has to yell. Then,
Do take care of yourself, Menmon. And thank you for aiding in dealing with this gangrel problem. It's appreciated. Congratulations on your new domain.
Thank you for granting it. And you are most welcome for the assistance I gave. And yeah, I guess with this.
And she'll just say, sorry, what? She'll just say, well, I suppose now it is my duty to apply it. I'll be seeing you. Oh, lag.
Oh, I said he'll slow he'll not slow. He'll nod slow and deeply and exit if there's nothing else she's going to say.
She doesn't really have anything else to say. She just looks at you as you leave. The guard, having waited within the room this entire time, all the way at the back, of course.
Mm-hmm.
This room does echo a little bit.
Do you hear it from me?
No, I mean the room itself.
Oh, okay, sorry.
And yes, I believe with that, we can end our scene as Menmon is escorted out of the building and is seen out of the palace. Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. We'll see you all next time.